I don't know if that just happened for anyone else, but when the intro played, it fully stopped at 9. And then the next thing I knew, we were on screen.
No, it didn't happen for me.
Great. Cool. It's one of those days, one of those things, one of
But
those.
it has happened to me before. So I'm like, mm-hmm. I've been sitting here like waiting to hold like do the fan, and I'm like, so I
I'm
say
like, I'm
now
just gonna sit here waiting.
it goes from 10, and then it'd be like 7, and then like 2, and I'll be like,
Right.
what's happening? So I just wait. I just look, and when y'all pop the fan, I'm like, yep. I don't know if I'm on time or not. So we just keep it going. Mm-hmm.
I also just realized the reason why I'm having all the issues is because I'm not on the main internet. So after I do my intro, I'm gonna switch internets, and this is just how this podcast is gonna go today because that's
Period.
where we're all at today. But bonjour et bienvenue à The Cup, the currently unnamed podcast where we put the real and the tea in reality. And you can always come to us for to quench your thirst. I'm Logan Murphy. Say something gay. Gay. I am drinking coffee
Mm.
because I needed it today. And that's where I'm at currently in my gorgeous flower mug. And that's what we're doing, and that's where we're at today. So,
Work. Hello, 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 everybody. I am Lana, your resident evil diva, and I'm here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea because you know I love me some tea. Purr. And if you have some tea, you know what to do. Hit me up. Oh, I am just drinking on some water still. It's that kind of day, and I never went to leave. I have not left this room since I've come in it, so I have water. And but if I was drinking anything else, which I am going to do because I'm going to drink some tea later, so I'm going to drink this tea out of my cup mug. Panel full of cup mugs. Panel full of cup mugs. Panel full of cup mugs. Panel. All right. All right, that's all I got. But you can get your cup mug or any of our cup merch at LanaGsCreations.etsy.com. That link will be in the description below. If you haven't checked out the Etsy shop, you should do it because we got some new stuff in there. We have stickers, we have fanny packs, we have hats and shirts. So check it out as well as all of our other things. So check all of our things out, and we do ship domestically here in the U.S. and Canada and Mexico, and we do ship internationally. So there are no excuses. France, I'm looking at you.
Well, I'm David Healy, and I don't have a cute intro, but I do have a cute shirt. I decided to wear my, can you tell who it is? My Trixie Mattel shirt. Woohoo.
Woo! Surprise, because I have no idea.
That's fair. I'm just drinking some water today, though.
That is the old school Trixie makeup before she decided to actually like do a more normal makeup, more normal in quotations. But we are back. It is episode 4 of Drag Race France. And I am very upset to report to you all that the season 3 curse is firmly intact with this season of Drag Race France.
Well, Julie.
Well, Julie.
It's looking that way.
I will go ahead and say this is maybe the franchise I am least excited for weekly now, unfortunately. I'm still really excited about a lot of these queens, and we'll talk about this episode, but because I actually really enjoyed the challenge. But, you know, questionable judging once again. We'll go ahead and just say that right off the bat. So, again, I don't know, and I'm really curious what the French fans think of this episode. Because I feel like this season, more so than a lot of the others that we've covered over the last couple of years, it feels like this season we are really not necessarily in tune with what the French fans are loving about this season. So I don't know if it's a subtitle issue. I don't know, honestly, what it is. But I feel like every week I look at the comments, and I love the comments that are like, this is how we feel, because I love learning about that. So I'm glad that you're all loving LaPhilippe. I'm not personally loving her all that much, but I'm glad that you all are.
I'm coming around to LaPhilippe. Like, at first I had, like, I didn't know if I was going to like LaPhilippe. But I'm like, I think the last episodes, have shown me a different side of Philippe and different where I'm like, okay, I'm starting to understand Philip a little bit better. And so I think I'm coming around to liking Philip.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like her as a person, no problems with her performance on the show so far is a mixed bag for me. Like sometimes I'm behind it, sometimes I'm not, but sometimes I just admit I don't get it. It's not for me as an American.
Right.
And sometimes that's just be it.
Yeah. I'm curious whether having Kiona last season brought a little bit more like Americanization to that season, which is why it felt, I'm not going to say more palatable because I don't think that's the word that I want to use here, but it was a little bit easier last season for me to get a lot of the humor that was happening. Because I even would say that I felt the same about season 1. Is like I didn't always get a lot of the humor, but I really enjoyed season 1, and I really, really enjoyed season 2. And I'm curious whether it's the Kiona effect. Yeah. It very well might be because she is perfection in every possible way. But
it's quite possible. But I'll be honest. If you took the same cast and just removed Kiona, I think I would still
like it.
I think I still would have really enjoyed it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Definitely. I just don't know that there's I just don't know that there's a lot of huge personalities on this cast. I think that actually might just be the thing is like everyone here is good at drag, but I don't think anyone has the big over the top personalities in the way we had with Kiona, with Sarah Forever, with Cookie, last name not to be mentioned on YouTube currently.
Moon and Mami Wata,
Moon and Mami Wata. Even Punani was a really nice, anchor for the season. Peach, and even the girls that went home early. Like I loved like Kitty Space's personality, Vespi,
Ginger.
So Ginger. We just mentioned the whole cast.
Yeah.
So
because they were all that good.
Rose.
They were and Rose.
And Rose. I'm not forgetting Rose.
But see, and that's the whole thing about that cast was that everybody they were all just a great group of people, and they had a personality as a collective as well as a personality individually. And it was just like we just really, really liked that. And when we got to this point last season, where it was the Rusical, like this Rusical was fine. Last season's Rusical was
incredible.
Epic. It was incredible. And it was just like, wow. And as much as we hate to compare the queens from season to season because it's not fair to do that because they don't have any control over the Rusicals. They don't have any control over what season gets what Rusical and what things. But I just feel like coming off of that season behind this, that Rusical with this Rusical just made it pale in comparison. And it was just like, oh, and I do agree with you. I just think it's the personalities of this group of women. They're a great group. They're a great group, and they have their own personality. But I feel like they're all such even keel. Like I feel like they're all such on a same level playing field. When last season everybody's personality was just like this. It was like, oh my God, we had some big ones, we had some small ones, we had some endearing ones. Like I haven't felt as connected to this cast that I felt to the last cast, and that's it's I don't know where the disconnect falls, but that's what it is with me.
And I know we came off of that Rusical last year, and we're like, this should not have been an elimination. It should have been a double win. And I think most of us were on like Kiona and Moon for that. So it's like, okay, now we get one. And I'm not mad about a non-elimination.
I am.
But for me, it's more the fact that like, oh, it's this one when it could have been last year. Like they had time. They had a comeback. They could have just scrapped the comeback and had a non-elimination then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was mad because that was worth it. Mm-hmm. But whatever.
We'll talk about it before we do because we still haven't finished the intro. We just dived into how much we don't like this season so far. I guess
I'm not saying that.
I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying it's the season 3 curse. It really just it is. We have the same issue with España season 3 and All Stars for that matter. We're now dealing with it with France. I hope and pray that the next season 3 we get, because it's my favorite franchise. So I'm like praying that season 3 of Philippines is not this way.
I'm like, no.
What other season 3s are we getting this year, though? Is that it?
I think that might be it. I think that might be it.
Unless Thailand pops up somehow.
No, we are getting season 3 of Thailand
This year?
Yes.
Okay.
So it'll be, but that's also honest to God going to feel like a season 1.
Yeah, it's going to be like a,
because they have completely changed the format.
Okay.
So allegedly. Everything is alleged information. It says so in the banner below. Before we dive into this episode, make sure to subscribe if you've not already, because we are here almost all the time giving you almost all things drag. Make sure to check out the description below for all of our YouTube channels, our audio podcast links, and our Patreon link for exclusive content and early access, including early access to the Look Over Here episodes that conjoin with all of our episode recaps. So if you want Look Over Here a day early, go subscribe to the Patreon. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are coming off of last episode. A Day Has Gone.
I mean, yeah.
It felt like her time. I was sad to see her go because I did really like her. I was sad I wasn't here last week because I really liked the ball. I thought it was a really lovely challenge. I don't think I agreed with the winner. I forget who you all said was the winner. I wasn't mad at Lula winning.
Our scores said Perseo for both of us.
Yes.
You know that that's valid.
Because she didn't have a miss. Like most people had a miss.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'll go ahead and say this because I don't know what my scores would say my top was. I think my favorite design challenge look probably was Misty's.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
She was our least favorite for the first category.
Right, she was our least favorite for the first category.
I saw that and I was like, oh, because I didn't love her. I think maybe the person overall that I would have had win maybe would have been actually Leona. Because I really liked her flame look and I really, really enjoyed the look she made. Yeah, I also really, and I know y'all didn't care for Norma's first look. I love Norma's first look.
It was okay.
Wasn't that
says the 50s that you gave her, because I remember.
No.
It was like, one of y'all gave her a 50-something.
Nah, it was 60s. For her first look?
Yes.
Blue flame? No, we were both in the 60s.
Yeah,
I probably would have had, my top 3 probably would have been Lula, Leona, Norma, with Perseo as a very close 4th. Like, that could have been a top 4, and I would have been fine with any of them winning. I wasn't mad at Lula winning, because I am, in the way that y'all are coming around to Philip, which I love, I'm still not personally there. I'm really coming around to really enjoy Lula. And I think Lula might be my second favorite on this cast right now.
She's one of my favorites.
Honestly.
And I even said in the first episode, I think she could be my moon because I just like her as a person.
She is very, I really am endeared to Lula. And I didn't think I would be that. She's very endearing. And I was like, okay.
I can't wait to talk about her this episode.
Absolutely.
I'm very excited to talk about her this episode. But we come into the workroom the next day. Nikki comes in. And everyone gives her a massage.
It seems like France likes to do a challenge before the mini challenge, you know?
It seems like France likes to do a bit before. It's not even a challenge, it's like a bit.
Right.
Kind of, yeah.
It's like a skit situation. It's like, okay, now everyone go give Nikki a massage while a hot pit crew man stands there.
I was like,
okay,
so dumb. I was like, why? I'll be honest. I was like, why? Why are we doing
this? And then we get the actual mini challenge, which is basically Newlyweds Game.
Yeah.
Like that's what at least the American translation of it was. The American vision was. I think the other reason why I may not be particularly loving this cast is because it feels like it's very cliquey. Because we saw in this mini challenge, we saw 2 of the same duos we've seen in other mini challenges, or at least like attempted duos, because Leona and Norma immediately coupled up. And then you saw Perseo and Philip immediately couple up. And then you had the other three kind of in the middle.
I mean, Philip has been trying to couple up with Perseo for the last couple of weeks and been getting curved every time.
Like, I feel like I'm on Love Island, Lana. I really honestly feel like, hold on, let me switch real quick. Okay, now we're talking about Love Island. Perseo's been wanting to get out of her couple for the longest time. She's been wanting, Philip's been wanting to couple up with Perseo.
Want to couple up with Perseo. Perseo been like curbing her every time, like nope. And then all of a sudden, finally, Philip
it feels very reminiscent to something we just saw on Love Island.
Mm-hmm. Finally, she gets the person she wants.
If you're not watching our coverage of Love Island over on the Cup TV, go do it. It's very fun. Lana and I will be back together to do it at some point.
I'm having a blast doing it by myself, honestly. Come if you want to, but I'm going to make it happen regardless because I am having a blast. I'm having
Fair
a
enough.
blast.
And then we do this mini challenge, and then no one wins. And I'm like, what?
Why did we do this? Why did we waste time? Why?
And there could have been a winner, but like there was a one question where somebody like said an answer and then they changed it to something else. And then that answer was right. And Nikki's like, well, your first answer is what counted. And it's like,
what? Like, why? Why, Nikki? Why, Nikki?
I don't get it. But then we move into our maxi challenge for the week, which is the Rusical. And not just any Rusical.
Celine Dion.
Celine! I'm kind of gagged that France did it first and not Canada.
I thought we did get it in Canada.
We got the Night of 1,000 Celine's Runway on Canada.
Is that it? Huh.
Yes, because if you remember, that was the runway for Snatch Game on season 1, which provided us my favorite lip sync of all time.
Was that
David
I Drove All Night?
I Drove All Night.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So it was just Snatch Game with the Celine runway, which makes sense because Snatch Game, whatever. But no, we'd never had a Celine Rusical before, so I'm happy that we got it. And I will say it was well written.
It was. I have complicated feelings though, because the whole Renee of it all, like he met her when she was so young.
Mm-hmm.
So young. So I'm a little like, I know that they have a genuine love and that's great. And I'm very happy for them, but I just, it still kind of creeps me out. It feels like grooming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It put Norma in a really difficult spot this episode, I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, you're a creep, Norma.
No, don't you dare talk about my Norma Bell.
No, not creep.
There's
Norma.
a Bell in my name on here because of Norma Bell.
Me too. I love her.
It's in the bottom part.
It's in my bottom.
Oh, okay.
I separated it. I didn't need to have the tea kettle, and the bell together.
I still have a moon.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a little bit of fighting over roles, but honestly, not that much.
It was normal fighting. Like, I think Leona and Ruby wanted the same part.
Yeah, Leona and Ruby wanted the like main narrator part.
Yeah.
Okay. I will say my favorite part of the episode was when Fabian, the Celine impersonator, comes in and we get a whole Celine lesson.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Wait, when they said Celine, come on out, and Fabian came out, they were like, "Oh my God, it's really Celine."
Who was it? There was someone in confessional that was like, "Well, Leona's not crying, so it's clearly not the real Celine."
Right.
But I loved this whole moment. I thought it was cute. I thought it was lovely. Work
indeed.
Yeah. And I didn't have anything else from the rest of the episode that I found interesting.
I mean, they had an Emmy moment where a lot of people were talking about being bullied and all of this stuff. This is where I felt like Lula was like, I felt so endeared.
Right.
I was like, Lula. I was like, oh, Lula's strong. And like it turned in from one Lula started talking about her bullying incidents in school and how the guest judge Wood kid like music kind of saved her and helped her get through those difficult times. And then we got other people starting to share their stories about being bullied, which I'm like, a lot of us, if we weren't the bully, we were bullied. And a lot of people have those stories. And I felt like I was like very empathetic to all of them about their experience and feeling so dark that at 12 years old, they want to unalive themselves. And it was like, wow, like that's a dark, heavy situation to be in at such a young age. And I was just like, this was so, like, I felt, but these are the moments that we're supposed to feel like this. They do this to us on purpose where they want us to reflect, get in our feelings. Because, baby, I was like, oh, I'm so, oh my God, oh no. But I can relate to it because I was bullied. So it was like I said, you were either bullied or you were the bully. Like I don't think anybody left grade school and high school unscathed unless they were the bullies. And even the bullies got bullied, which is wild because I think that's why they were bullying other people because they were getting bullied themselves. But it's just like, this is relatable stories. These are something that happened. It shouldn't happen. It's dark. I hope things change. But man, I felt like this was the moment I was like, oh, Lula, girl, Lula. I just felt very endeared to her.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I'm kind of getting, I don't know. There's something about her that's like reminding me of Alvilda.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think it's maybe her.
Okay.
Yeah, she's just vulnerable in a very similar way. And I think she's got a lot of the same like talent that Alvilda has. I don't know that we've seen it all quite yet though.
No, I think a lot of these queens are kind of like a slow burn on this season. Because I think the only real person that came out the gate with big personality was Perseo. And I still really enjoy Perseo. But I'm really enjoying getting to know a lot of these other girls that I'm not really, that are a bit more of a slow burn, like Lula, like Ruby. I'm really, really liking what we've seen of Ruby so far as well. So, well, I guess we could just move along. I think Nikki looks gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
And the other guest judge, I do not remember her name offhand, so I'm going to look it up very quickly.
I thought it was Lorraine.
Lorraine.
I don't know. It was
Luann.
Luann.
I think Luann looks gorgeous. Everyone else, who the fuck styled you?
I mean, I like Nikki's look.
Oh no, I said Nikki. Woodkid looks fine.
Woodkid looks fine for.
I just season 4. Honest to God, I need an overhaul. I've
been annoyed every week with Kitty and with Daphne, and I've been trying to like. I'm like, okay, maybe it'll get better. I'm giving up hope for Daphne because she just ain't gonna get better. And then the previews for next week, I'm like, yeah, she definitely gonna get better. But Kitty, I had little hope for, and it's just like he's getting wilder and outrageous more this season.
You know, I don't mind it as much with Kitty because I'm starting to view Kitty as basically like a drag king, even though he is a male. But he. Like the way that he's presenting is how, like, I would love to see a drag king on one of these shows And I think that there's so many things you can do. And I think Kitty is showing that, and it doesn't always work. Like this for me, I think is interesting. And if I did see it on the runway with a drag king, I would be like, I like it, but I wish there was a little bit of editing. Like that colorful little fur coat thing that could go. And then I think I would like it more.
Okay. I feel you.
I think I agree. I'm liking Kitty a bit more than I have been. Daphne, I'm still just like not the world's biggest fan of. But yeah. Anyway. Our Rusical. This time I remembered to put in photos of the challenge. Do not worry, everyone. I did in fact remember. So this time, Lana, guess what, Lana? We'll actually get to talk about the Rusical.
We talked about it. I just forgot.
Oh, I know. I watched the episode.
I was like, David was like, are we going to talk about the challenge? I was like, maybe not.
And what?
I thought we did. I was like, he's like, no. I was like, oh, nope, there were no pictures. Logan did the slideshow, forgot it. But it's okay. We did talk about it.
What's funny now is like when this popped up, I'm like, wait, I thought we were at the top 7. Like, why is there 8?
Well, so here's the thing. Unfortunately, I did have to cut off the other dancer because there is a dancer on Norma's left side. But I did have to cut him out for the purposes of this slide here today.
Okay.
But
I hope we judge all 8 of the people.
yes, I would like to start with backing dancer number 1, who I think is very attractive.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all I have to say about him. But
his crop top stopped at the right level, I will say.
Okay.
It was a perfectly placed crop top.
Absolutely. So here we have LaPhilippe as Mother Dion, Leona as Vegas Celine, Lula as Eurovision Celine, Misty as Feline Celine, Norma as Renee. We'll talk about it. Perseo as Young Celine, and Ruby as American Celine.
Okay. Well, I would like to talk about them individually, and I will also give my rankings for everybody in the Rusical. And spoiler alert, they're going to be wildly different than how the judging went. But I think we should also do the thing where we switch up the order too. But I'll start with Leona. So Leona, I think she had the toughest part in this Rusical. So I admire her for taking on such a big task. Going into this episode, I expected great things from Leona, but then again, I was kind of thinking, my brain just automatically goes to like a Rusical where people are singing, and she didn't have to do that at all. But I do think with as much singing and speaking was in this specific Rusical, there was a lot to keep up with the lip sync part, and I think she did not do very well with keeping up on the lip sync. I kept watching and I'm like, am I seeing things weird, or is her mouth just is not matching up hardly at all with this? So it was kind of distracting. Even her look, I get the Celine of it all, but like I felt like her wig was kind of flat, her makeup wasn't the best. So I was pretty disappointed with Leona. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you all my ranking for Leona. I had her number 6 out of the 7 people.
Leona was not my favorite. I did think she was missing the words a lot. She did have a hard role though. It was a very hard role, so I agree with you on that. But I just don't think she measured up to the role. Like maybe she should have gave that to Ruby. I don't know. It just, but I thought she did. I would probably rank her. She'd be in my bottom 2. Probably 6. Yeah, probably 6. It's only 7, right? I'm not crazy.
Yeah, it's only 7.
I'm not
Despite
crazy.
us seeing 8 people.
I'm not crazy. But it's 6 people. So, yeah, she should probably be 6 for me.
Okay.
Because there's somebody who I thought was worse. But
I think I would have Leona at 5th.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually very funny because my top 4 and my bottom 3 are in the same photo. So you can already tell what I think of Philip and Misty in this challenge. But I think it was very brave of Leona to tackle this, but I have to agree. I just don't think the lip sync really worked all the time. I think her timing with the physical comedy that she had going on, I think was good. And I think she really stood out in the song after Renee dies.
I agree.
I think that was
I was going to interject
moment.
that. I agree.
Yeah, that's, I think, the moment that maybe won it for her, and the judges kind of didn't really care about anything else. And if that's the case, I guess I can understand that to an extent, but I don't think she was, for me, she wasn't the worst. I would have had her low based on challenge alone, and based on her runway, I probably would have ended up having her safe.
I do want to say, though, like, she's really stepped it up in that song, but I thought all 4 of them did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all 4 of them
yes,
really
I absolutely agree.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't the best.
She was the one that stood out in that moment for me the most, but all 4 of them, I do agree with you, did very, very well in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Lana, what do you think of LaPhilip?
LaPhilip, I felt like LaPhilip did a decent job, but her role was so small that it was kind of like you lost her. We lost her in the shuffle because once she had the baby and she said she's going to be a big star, she faded, and it was like, okay, we don't know what else. It's not about Mom's story; it's Celine's story. So it was kind of, I feel like it was the story that got her, and her role being so small that if she didn't take advantage of the time when she wasn't speaking, like she just faded into the background and didn't really step up. So I was very shocked for the results of this, because I would not have had her anywhere near the top 2, like anywhere near. She would have probably been 7th actually for me.
I had her at 6th. For a lot of the similar reasons that you gave, Lana. I think her with her physical comedy was also, pretty good. Her lip sync was not perfect, in my opinion. I don't think she nailed the lip sync necessarily, and I agree with you. I think she got lost. I think she took a smaller part, hoping to stand out, and I guess in the judges' mind she did, and that's great for her. But I didn't particularly love it from her.
Yeah, I'm the same way you all feel about LaPhilip, unfortunately. For me, I thought she did fine in the parts where she was on screen. I just kept forgetting about her. There was one point where we were almost done with the Rusical, and I was trying to figure out who were my tops and bottoms, and I'm like, I'm only coming up with 6 people. Who's the other one?
Right.
Who am I forgetting? And it was Philip. I couldn't remember her part. And even when they were doing the judging and they were talking about her different moments throughout it, and they were cutting to things, and I'm like, this doesn't stand out to me. Even you showing it back to me, I'm not getting the big deal. I thought she did fine. She was serviceable. I actually did misread my rankings earlier. I actually had Leona 7th. I was looking. She was number 6th to walk through the runway. That's why I saw 6. But so just the lip sync part for Leona was enough to put her last for me. But I had LaPhilip at number 6. She was second to last. So the top 2 was my bottom 2 this week.
Gotcha. As far as Misty is concerned, I will say I had Misty at number 7 for me personally. I'm trying to figure out whether it's just because I'm not particularly loving Misty. I really honestly don't know what it is. For me, the most distracting part was actually the makeup that she did. I don't think the makeup at all looked like Celine. And she was the only one that I really had that issue with. I think all of the other Celines actually did a really good job at imitating her makeup, and I didn't particularly love her makeup. I thought her performance itself was fine, but she did not stand out to me at all in any of the group choreography. And in a lot of ways, similarly to Le Philippe, I lost Misty a lot in this performance. So I think for me, she kind of just landed at the bottom.
Mm. Well, okay, this is going to be our first kind of disagreement then, because I actually really liked Misty in this. I do agree that of all the Celines, she probably looked like her the least. But I really appreciated her energy in the Rusical. She was very good with the dancing. We know she can dance. She gave it with her face for me. She gave it with the words as well. She lip synced on beat. So she actually, I was pretty impressed with her. And I kept like looking at her. I'm like, who do you remind me of? Who do you remind me of? And I think I might have figured it out. I think she kind of reminds me of Marissa Tomei a little bit. But yeah, she's definitely winning me over this season. I had her ranked at number 3 for the Rusical.
Yeah, for me, I thought Misty she was different and good, and I do agree she doesn't look like Celine Dion. I was like, I don't know who this person is. You're supposed to be, but it ain't Celine Dion. But did I appreciate the performance? Yes, I appreciated her performance, and I kind of agree with both of you. I feel like she did kind of fade a little bit, but I feel like when the moments it was on her, she performed. So I feel like I'm in the middle of that. Like, I do agree with Logan that she faded a little bit, but I do agree with you, David, that she performed well when she was supposed to perform well. But like in group numbers and things, she did kind of fade a little bit for me. So I think that's why for me, she's probably 3. She's probably 3.
All right.
Well, next up we have Ruby on the Nail. She didn't get the best critiques of anybody this week, but I actually kind of liked her in this too. I thought she was very emotive with her face. Even if it was like a little subtle, maybe it was a TV performance and not a stage performance, but I was watching it through the TV, so I appreciated what she did. I did have to get past the chest hair because I'm like, I don't remember that era of Celine. But
wasn't familiar with chest hair Celine. No, that was not a Celine I recognized.
No, I don't remember her.
But overall, I thought she did very well. Like I think most of them did very well. She was another one that stood out to me when it was the part after Renee and her mother passed away. I just got like a lot of emotion from her. So she was pretty much in the middle for me for the night. I had her number 4.
That is exactly where I had her for me, because I was
making this boring, Lana.
I know, I'm sorry.
Don't worry, I don't have her at number 4.
I'm sure you don't, because you never agree with us. Well, you agree with me. Never David. Never David.
We all agreed about Leona.
True. Well, no, but I changed my yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, don't roll your eyes at me. I do. Ruby is going to always be an issue for me, and I hate it to say it. It's always going to be an issue for me. It's the chest hair. I can't get past it. I'm trying very hard, but I lose the illusion every time I see a chest hairs, and I'm just like, you want me to believe you're Celine Dion, but I don't believe it because Celine Dion never had chest hair, and and that happens with every. I think this Runway, she helped me out because, baby, thank you. But every other time I see Ruby do something, I'm like, I want to like it more than I do, but I lose the illusion. And once I lose the illusion, I'm just out of it. But do I think she gave a great performance? I thought she did a really good performance. I thought I didn't get what the judges were talking about. About her performance not being, her face was not showing, like she wasn't giving. She was giving. I enjoyed her performance, and she was on cue. Her words matched up. she was giving. We know Ruby can lip sync. We saw her do it twice, but I feel like y'all just playing in her face and y'all just want to keep making her lip sync for some foolishness when she only need to be in the bottoms of some things. But because I swear if they had a bottom, she would have been in the bottom. And I'd be like, for what? For what reason? Why are we doing that? So I thought she did a good job. I put her at 4 because I felt like she wasn't the worst. She was very much in the middle. And I feel like with her runway, she would have been in the top 3 maybe because her runway look was sickening. So I felt like maybe her runway look would have bumped up just a little bit. But man, I thought she did fine. I thought she did fine. And 4 was a great place for her in this ranking.
I have her at number 3. I really, really liked what Ruby did. I really enjoyed her performance here. I thought and it also very well might be because American Celine is kind of the Celine that I was most familiar with. So I really understood her mannerisms. I thought she was the other person that really stood out to me in the sad song moment. It was her and Leona were really the standouts for me in that. I thought her performance was good. It was solid. She knew her words. She felt like Celine for me. So I really enjoyed it.
What do you think of Perseo, Lana?
I like Perseo. Perseo was my number 2. I thought Perseo she kind of ate this up, and I was not expecting Perseo to actually be as good as she was, but she kind of did her good thing, her big thing with this one. I believed her as young Celine, living like she had the doe eyes of innocence and I'm gonna be a star, and it was very much that, and I believed that. And I was like, okay, did I think the Renee of it all coming into that character's moment in life was a little weird and creepy? Yes, but that happened. That was her life. It is what it is. We can't be like, oh, that's what it is. And regardless of what we think of their relationship was a love relationship that they felt very passionate about. And sometimes it just happens to be that way. Sometimes people meet at times where we like, oh, hold on. You old man should not be looking at that young girl. Like, you shouldn't. But when at least I don't think anything happened with them before time needed to happen with them. And when it did, it was love and it was fine. Whatever. I'm not here to judge their relationship. Perseo actually killed this role for me. She was number 2 in my ranking. I thought she did a really, really good job. She gave me innocence. She gave me hopeful Celine, driven Celine, like, I'm going to be a star and I'm going to make it. And I thought it was good.
Well, this is going to get a little bit more of the same because my top 2 was very, very close. I also have Perseo at number 2 for this challenge. I think Perseo did a great job. It was a great start to the main part of the Rusical as well. I thought she really delivered ingenue, young Celine in a very, very strong way. I thought when it came to more of the group stuff, I thought she did stand out as well. I just think she had a solid, clean performance, and that's all I needed from Perseo. And I think they're playing in Perseo's face. And I'm angry about it. Even though she has a win. I'm like, I'm nervous. I'm nervous for Perseo.
Yeah, me too. To keep things boring, I also had her at number 2 for this Rusical. I thought she was so good. Like, I think that she probably had the biggest transformation of anybody here, even when one of them is in a bald cap right now. But like, I just thought this was unrecognizable as Perseo, and I was like, is that her? Is that her? She just completely embodied this character and almost gave me like the Rachel Berry of it all. I'm like a young Rachel Berry, Celine Dion, but the dancing was so good too. I was just enthralled with everything she was doing. She very easily could have got the win this week. If I was judging, it was pretty close for me between the top 2, but man, I was super impressed with her. I think she's absolutely solidifying herself as one of my favorites this season.
When she was dancing, and she grabbed the sheet and put it around her neck as a cape and spun around, I was like,
good.
"Oh, that was so good and so young girl." Like that's what we do in our bedrooms when we're by ourselves and we're thinking about what we're gonna do with our lives. It was so good. I was like, "Oh, she was good." That's why I liked it. I liked her. Okay.
Yeah.
Logan.
So I will go ahead and say Lula was my favorite in the challenge. I love Eurovision Celine. I do. I love the way that song was written too, where it's very clearly Ne partez pas sans moi, but it was, the parody of it I really enjoyed. I thought Lula just absolutely demolished this Rusical. And for me, she was the standout every moment she was in. So that's really all. I really, really enjoyed Lula.
Yeah, I absolutely did too. She was my number one. And I've been waiting for Lula this season because I've liked her since the start and I've known she's a fashion girl, but I'm like, what is the thing that you can just knock out of the park? And it was this episode. I'm like, oh, you are an actress. You really know how to act. She just was like, honestly, I think some of the best acting I've seen on Drag Race in a while. It was all there in the face. I was believing every moment of it. Even like in the big group one, I'm kind of surprised she was not the standout for you, Logan, because I thought she was killing it when the 4 people were there. Just, she really looked like she was about to cry in that moment. And I just was absolutely believing everything she sold. And she gave range. It wasn't just sad.
Yeah.
She gave joy. She gave all sorts of aspects of personality and emotion.
Yeah.
And I thought she absolutely killed this.
That wasn't my standout moment for her. I do agree. She stood out in that quartet very, very well. For me, her standout moment was just her solo. I thought she had the best solo. So that's what it is for me. But I do agree with you. I think she stood out very, very nicely in the group as well.
So I like learning things. I like learning new things. I had no idea Celine Dion was in Eurovision. No idea. Had no idea Celine Dion did Eurovision. So I was like shocked. And I was like, oh.
I thought I had mentioned something to you about that sometime. She's a Eurovision winner.
Yeah, I had no idea. Of course she won.
Yeah.
She's Celine Dion. Duh.
Well, yeah.
But like,
her and ABBA are like the big ones.
Yeah, honestly, her and ABBA, Eurovision launched her career.
Well, see, I had no idea. I did not know.
Yeah.
And this is how I don't know anything about Eurovision. I didn't even know Eurovision existed until 2 years ago. Last year when y'all brought it up, I didn't even know what Eurovision was. So, love that. But yeah, I had no idea she was on Eurovision. And of course she would. Why wouldn't Celine Dion ever lose any singing competition? Like, woman is sickening. She's amazing. One of my favorite artists to listen to this day is Celine Dion because she's amazing. But I had no idea she was on Eurovision. And I felt like Lula kind of was just like brought me into that. And I was like, oh. And you could see the difference of Eurovision Celine to when her career was launched. And now she's been American Celine. And it's like, oh, she's still doing that. And then Vegas Celine, where she puts all of her, things that she's become over the years into one show. I enjoyed Lula very much in this. I thought she stood out in her solo number. I thought she stood out in the group number. She gave us so much range. She was so good. She was my number one. I thought she should have won the whole thing because I thought she was amazing from beginning to end in this Rusical. I was a fan. I really, really enjoyed her.
Oh, well, based on that, it sounds like we have identical rankings, Lana.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Speaking of, so let me talk about who has to be my number 5, and that is Norma Bell. And number 5 sounds like a bad ranking, but it's really not. in her case, because like I said, I thought everybody was pretty good in this Rusical. For me, it just came down similar to La Philippe, but not as much. She just had a part that did not demand as much attention as a lot of the other characters for me. So I did think she did well. Like it's going to be hard, like when I'm watching this male drag type of performance in a Rusical, not to think back to Moon, who absolutely devoured it last season. Norma was absolutely solid throughout. It just wasn't a standout, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Me?
Yeah.
Oh, it's me. I'm looking at Logan like, you go. And he looking at me like, you
No, it's not my turn.
Yeah, my bad, homies. Yeah, I agree. I think Norma did a really good job for what the role that she had to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think her role wasn't anything that was going to be the standout in any kind of way. Like, this musical was about Celine. And as much as Renee is a part of Celine, he was the supporting role in Celine's life. And so that's all Norma really could have done, was be a support system. And I think she did a good job of being the support of the Celines that she was involved with. It's hard to be the male character in a character when all the queens are spectacular queens. Like, you're an amazing queen in this moment, and in this straight male character. And this wasn't like Moon's character, because Moon's character had layers, like very different layers of anger and hurt and misunderstanding and wanting to love his son, and but having it pull back because of what the norms of society was. So she had lots of layers on top of layers for her character. This character is very basic, very straight. I'm the husband, the manager, and I'm just going to build your career and love you in the process. Like, that's it. There is nothing else to say about the Renee character. And I think Norma played it as well as she could play it in a situation where she was not ever going to be the star in this moment. And I think she picked this role knowing she was never going to be the star. She wasn't going to win. And I think she was like, that's fine. I just want to be safe. And this is the very safest character you can be to be safe. And I think she did well with it.
Yeah, I had Norma as number 4, so not super far off from either of you. I think it is, she maybe had the most difficult role because she had to interact with so many other people. And she had to be the foil for all of the different Celines that she had. And I think she, like you said, Lana, I think she did the absolute best that she could with the role that she was given. I thought her dancing was good. Her lip sync was great. I was not mad at anything Norma did in this episode. And for me, she was very solidly right in the middle safe.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That's fair. And I do want to give props to the production of this for one specific choice, because at first I was like, wait a second. But when we did have the characters pass away and we had the Celines gather as a group to mourn the loss of Renee, I was like, why are only 4 of them there? And I'm actually, in hindsight, I'm glad they did not bring out Perseo for that, because I don't want to be reminded of young Celine being in love with Renee. So I thought that was a good choice. And
I don't know if maybe young Celine was in love with Renee.
Right.
I think young Celine,
I don't think she
was just, in fact, not even infatuated, but he was the manager. He was her manager. So I don't think young Celine was had those feelings for Renee. So it would make no sense to have her out there at that point.
Exactly.
But all the other Celines had love for Renee, and when she was old enough to do that. So yeah, it makes sense. And I do appreciate. Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. I do appreciate production for doing that.
Definitely. Runway category is Night of 1,000 Celines. Duh. Was there going to be any other runway for this?
No. I love that.
Okay.
These screenshots, I gotta go ahead and say already, these screenshots are bad. I had to pull them myself today, so don't judge me too hard. But first, onto the runway, Misty Phoenix doing Celine at the Met Gala from 2019.
Yeah. So Misty doing Met Gala. Oh, I'm going to keep it brief.
Yes, brief.
A little too expected.
Could be more.
Now.
All right.
Now.
Okay.
No, thank you.
One no would have sufficed.
I wanted to make sure that there were 3.
I got it. I got you. 3. Everything comes in 3s.
And I'm going to follow that with just one more word, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Hairline.
Oh, okay.
Next up, Le Philippe doing the first of the wedding dress Celine's.
This was a good screenshot right here. Okay.
Thank you. She was one of the only people that stood still for more than 2 seconds, so I was able to.
That was a good one. Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
Took me a second to soak it all in.
Okay.
Okay. Next up is Norma Bell, who is doing Celine at the Champs-Élysées in 83. And for this, I have to say, versatility. And I was impressed.
I would say adorable, but a little local queen.
Mm-hmm. Unexpected, yet underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, Ruby on the Nail. Finally, someone did the fucking backwards suit. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I know it's not my turn, but that's all I had to say.
I will say, looks way better from the back than it does from the front.
But they did on Celine the same way. But 8 down. That's all I'm gonna say, because the backward suit looked better from the back on Celine than it did in the front too. So I ain't gonna get Miss Ruby on the nail for that, because it's the same thing. But she looked great.
Yep. Next up, Perseo doing the look from the I'm Alive music video from 2002.
I would say camp.
Versatility. Thank you, Perseo.
I'm going to say hate this wig.
Okay.
Yeah. It is very Celine, but... Next up, Leona Winter, also in the wedding dress. Fine.
Not as good as the first.
I'm going to say beautiful, but I want more drag.
Beautiful gowns. Beautiful gowns. And last up, we have Lula Strega, who actually did the look from the music video for Porque tu m'aimes encore, the Lipsync song for the week.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say sleek, pretty, but simple.
Beautiful silhouette. Gorgeous face.
My favorite look of the night.
Mm-hmm.
It was close, but yes. So we get some curious and intriguing critiques that I didn't understand. And we find out that no one's going home.
No one.
At what point did you all figure that out?
When she kept saying, "You stay, you stay," and I was why?
It was the moment that I think it was the moment that Norma was called safe. I was like, oh, so it's a top 2. Got it.
Yeah, I think I was about 2 people in being safe, and I think it was around the 3rd person. I'm like, yeah, I think
No, it was when Perseo was called safe. I was like, okay, so it's a top 2.
I don't remember when Perseo was called safe.
Right.
I think 3rd.
Okay, that makes
I
sense.
know the 3rd. It was like the first 2. I was like, oh. And then when she
so
said
they're
the
in
3rd,
the top, and then they're going to announce a winner. Like, that's what I thought was going to happen.
I was like, okay, so the next person should be the winner. And then I was like, oh no, this person. You step. Yeah, I was like, yeah, nobody going home. Nobody's going home. It was
No
in
one
that
goes
moment.
home.
Nobody goes home, and I was like, why couldn't we do this like a couple weeks ago? Why? Whatever.
Why couldn't we do this for Magnetica?
That is what I kept saying, but I digress. I move on. I have to
I'm not
let
moving
Magnetica
on.
go.
I'm angry.
I have to let Magnetica go, but I'm mad about it. Just know.
I'll never let her go.
No.
Jack. Oh, we didn't talk about Peach.
Oh, Peach! Peach was there. I love Peach.
There. She was great.
I love Peach.
Peach
was
was
great.
Rusical.
The winner of this week's Maxi Challenge, Peach.
She
Honestly.
was number 2.5 for me this week.
Yes. Very that energy. But we find out that the top 2 of the week are Leona and Philip. And I honest to God think they put them in the top 2 because they wore the same dress.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no other justification for me, because we all would have had both of them in some capacity in the bottom 3.
Right. Yeah, when I was watching, I had to message in our group chat, and I'm like, this is hilarious, because I had already immediately after the Rusical put down my rankings, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is who I would have lip syncing to in the bottom 2. But for me, it really is starting to feel like this season, like they had ideas of who would place where in challenges before they actually got to them. Like, of course, Leona Winter is going to be the winner of the Rusical, right? And then we get to it and she's subpar. But hey, that's part of the script. We got to stick to the script, right? I don't get it.
I would like to believe that Nikki doesn't have any hand in this, because I don't feel like Nikki is like, I feel like honestly, the first 2 seasons, I feel like Nikki's judging for the most part was very fair. And it feels like there's something else at play this season, and I don't know what it is. Other than just producers being like, this is who we want in the top 4. I can tell you right now who's probably in the top 4.
And I'll be honest.
It's probably not going to be the people that I think are the most deserving.
Can I be honest?
Yes.
Please.
I knew Leona Winters was going to be in the top 2 at the very beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
I thought so too.
I said she's going to be in the top 2 from the very beginning of this episode. I was like, because they gave her too much story at the beginning, and she was like, I'm going to have my picture up there, blah, blah, blah. She was doing all the things. And I was like, okay, so she's in the top 2. I was like, oh, I'm starting to really understand this DragRace editing stuff. Like, I'm really starting to catch the hints and picking it up. Like, I was like, okay, so she's going to be in the top 2. Who's going to be in the top 2 with her? I don't know. But I know she's going to be in the top 2. And then when I saw the Rusical, I was like, maybe not, because she did so bad. She probably won't be in the top 2. I was like, because she's not that great.
Right.
And then she ends up in the top 2. And I was like, how the heck did she get in the top 2? She was not good. But I'm
because they wrote it into the script of this episode that she was going to be in the top 2.
Absolutely.
But she got some of the harshest critiques too.
And exactly. So I'm like, what are we doing here? Like,
she literally, when it was announced that she was in the top 2, she collapsed to the ground.
When you know you did bad, you're like, oh, me?
And I don't think this has anything to do with Leona, because at the end of the day, she is talented. There's a lot going on about Miss Leona right now, and I will be only discussing her as a character on this show, because outside of this, I'm not the world's biggest fan of her. But she is providing entertainment, and she is providing talent on this season. But when a girl has that kind of reaction after being announced in the top 2 instead of lip syncing for her life, like, the math ain't mathin' here.
I just don't understand how we looked at that performance. saw what she did, said
critiqued her the way
I'm gonna say
that they
critiqued
did.
her on the way, said that she was dropping words, she wasn't lining up to the lip sync, she wasn't doing this, she didn't emote, she didn't have a great performance. You said it. She didn't have a great performance, but she's in the top 2. It made no sense to me. And I'm like, I'm watching this morning. That's the first thing I did. I get up to do it. The first thing I do is watch Friends. And I'm like, it is too early in the morning for me to try to figure this thing out right now. Because my brain is not processing how in the world you tell somebody that their performance was bad, but then they end up in the top 2. But then you tell Lula her performance was great, and she doesn't even end up in the top 2. Like, I'm just very confused. Or we just don't want people to win back to back? Or y'all just didn't want Lula to win back to back because she probably would have. But if that's what we're doing, just say we don't want people to win back to back, and we want to have different people win every week. But at least make it believable. Put Perseo in that top 2 and make it believable. Like, okay, we're not gonna put Lula in here because we don't want her to win back to back. But we need to put Perseo in here because that makes it believable. Because she was the next best thing.
But they don't want Perseo to win 2 challenges.
No, because she won 2 challenges. Absolutely, they don't want to do that.
Because they don't care about Perseo. My conspiracy theory, honest to God, is that they're going to get rid of Perseo next week. Like, that's just where I'm like, the energy of this edit is giving me that they just don't care about Perseo. Because honestly, Perseo has killed every single challenge so far. But I don't think Perseo is part of their Final 4 plans.
I don't know.
Because I don't think they want a Canary Island queen in the top 4 of this season. I just don't.
I don't know.
Anyway.
It's very weird to me.
It's very weird. But I want to talk about what wasn't weird. It was that, and what was actually I really, really enjoyed, and that was our top 2 lip sync that we did get between Leona and Philip lip syncing to Porque tu m'aimes encore by Celine. I thought it was a great lip sync. And by the silence that I'm hearing, I can tell that neither of you think the same. Cool.
It wasn't that it was bad. Like, when I watched it, I was kind of tuned out. I'm like, why are the bottom 2 lip syncing as the top 2? So I did not give it my full attention as an audience member. Like, I wish I could have. But from what I saw, it was fine. Like, there was nothing bad happening.
I thought the lip sync was fine. Only thing is, y'all know how I am. When I don't know the song, I'm kind of like, I don't know. Yeah. And it was in French, so I had no idea what they were talking about. But I was listening. I think they did a good job performing it together and and they're having their own separate spaces to perform and them doing stuff together. I thought it was a good performance. I wasn't like, oh, this is going to be my top 10 performance of Lipsync of the year. It wasn't like that.
No, definitely not.
But it was good enough for I was like, and I think I was a little, I'm going to be honest, I was a little deflated because I didn't think this should have been the top 2. So I was kind of just like,
yeah.
Why am I? So I didn't give it the attention that it deserved. Maybe I'll go back and watch it and give it the attention that it deserves to say if it was a really, really good one. But I was deflated because I didn't think they deserved to be in the top 2. So my brain was kind of like whatever. And Fair. Then I didn't feel like I didn't know the song. I didn't really know what they were saying, so it kind of just.
See, I do think it will be in my top 10 lip syncs for the year as far as top 10 most fabric on the ground during a lip sync. Because there was fabric.
It was fabric everywhere.
Well,
I was like, everybody taking their clothes off. But
right. Hey, I'm glad they both did because those gowns were hard to move in. But
absolutely.
All right, as the person that did pay attention to this lip sync, even though
that's why we were letting you talk,
even though I was a little deflated, I have to say, and I'm very happy that I'm saying this, I'm kind of coming around to Philip.
I'm glad.
I thought Philip won this lip sync.
Me too.
And
actually.
I think what I needed was I just needed to see her perform. And I think she is such a captivating performer. I really, really enjoyed the choices that Philip made. Like, she was this song, and I do love a ballad lip sync. I will go ahead and say that. I don't think this was as good as the other ballad lip sync we've gotten so far this year on this franchise. Because I think Magnetica and Ruby destroyed that lip sync. But I really enjoyed this. I thought Leona did a good job, but Leona was doing Celine and Philip was doing Philip. And that for me was the difference. I didn't feel like Leona was bringing any of herself. And there's also been some claims about Miss Leona specifically. Well, there's been a lot of claims, but one of them made by Miss Gia Gunn is that she is just more of a female impersonator that sings, and she isn't really a drag queen. And this kind of proved it a little bit to me. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't see Leona giving the drag that the rest of these girls do. I have to be honest. And I thought I was going to come into this season absolutely like, oh my God, Leona's my favorite. She's so talented. I know her from Queen of the Universe. Like, she's going to destroy this season. And I'm not feeling that way at all. At all. Like, at this point, I feel like this season was written for Leona to win. And as of this moment, 4 episodes in, I don't see it personally.
Well,
but I thought Philip did such a good job in this sync.
Yeah. No comment on that, but I am curious, who, like, at this point in the season, who would you all have in the top 3?
Well, so Leona wins the lip sync, she wins the challenge, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
Right now, I think the top 3 is going to be Leona, based on just the fact that I can tell that they want her in the final period, regardless of how she does.
Definitely Leona. Definitely Leona.
Definitely Leona. I think it's... Who do I want?
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Lula, Ruby, and Norma.
Okay.
I'm going to make it a top 4 because that's what they did last season. So I'm going to justify my choices, and I want Perseo there too.
I'm about to say. My top 3, I would want Lula, Perseo, and Norma. That's what I would want, my top 3.
Yeah, this is tough because those are my top 4. Lula, Norma, Ruby, and Perseo. Like, I've not connected with, I mean, for better or worse, the most of the skinny, pretty white ones this season. But I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, I think maybe I would kick Ruby out at 4th based on what we've gotten so far. But honestly, like, Lula, it's probably Lula and Perseo for the top 2, and then it would be a fight between Norma and Ruby for that 3rd spot.
I think for me right now, it's Lula, Norma as my top 2.
Norma peaked early for me, though.
I'm worried. I feel like I'm very worried for Norma now.
Yeah.
Because I agree. I think she peaked a little early. I don't know how much more... I'm going to be honest. I don't know how much more uniqueness we're going to see out of Norma. And it does make me worried for her in that regard. But, David, do we have a draft update?
We sure do.
Okay, great. I'll put up the banner. Draft update!
But I don't have it pulled up yet, so I'm working on that.
You take your time.
Okay, so we have a draft, and in 4th place,
there's an update.
Yes, in 4th place, she's out of it. It's Chloe. She has 4 points for the season, and then I have 17.5 points in 3rd place. And then there's a huge jump. The top 2 is pretty close. We have in 2nd right now is Logan with 38 points. And Lana's in 1st place with 40.5 points.
Oh my goodness. I'm doing well in this one.
You both have all of your team members.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've lost 2 and Chloe's lost 1.
Why did I think for some reason that you had Aphrodite?
I did not.
Lana?
No, David had Aphrodite.
Okay.
Because I picked Norma first and David picked Aphrodite.
You had the first 2 outs.
Yeah.
And
I
holding
picked
on by
Leona
it for
first. Which,
sale.
hey, I guess for draft purposes, picking Leona was a smart idea. I guess.
Yeah.
But next week, it's Snatch Game. Snatch Game. I'm worried that I'm not going to know anybody.
That's my fear all the time. Like, I don't know these people. But that's fine. It is what it is.
Yeah. So that's that for our episode recap for episode 4 of Drag Race France. We will be back next week to talk about episode 5, to talk about Snatch Game. I think we're halfway through the season.
I think so.
Because I think it's only 9. Last season was 9 episodes. So I think we're halfway through. Cool. Excited for it to be over already. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, we'll be back next week to talk about episode 5. In the meantime, make sure to check out our episode of Look Over Here, which will be dropping the day after this episode goes up, for all of our thoughts on the Celine looks. But if you want to hear it early, make sure to go check out the Patreon, because we will have early access over there for patrons. And while you're down in the description finding that Patreon link, you could also find our other YouTube channels, our audio podcasts, where you can find us on our social media, both The Cup as a podcast and The Three of Us, and where you can also get your merch, including an Unlimited Cup mug as well. With that being said, we're going to get out of here. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Celine Dion.
That's all.
You're here, there's nothing I fear.